Good evening, Internet. How are we doing? Thank you for your patience. It's time for Challenge Accepted, and see what kind of crazy shenanigans the party gets into. Before we get too much further, as always, a big shout out and a thank you to Syrinscape for the background musics and soundboards that we use. This is our one for this season. Also want to shout out and a thank you to the community as a whole for your support. The bits, the subs, the follows, all of those things are great. They keep the lights on and make things keep moving. Also want to point out we still have the extra life bar going on. Trying to hit that $2,000 goal for all the fun things to help the kids, helping children's hospitals for sick kids, especially in the climate we've been seeing in 2020. We want to make sure we can help kids and have fun as gamers, and all of those things. Quick reminder: if you donate $15 to $15 donation to Extra Life will give the party advantage on a dice roll. A $25 donation to Extra Life will give the party a D6 Bardic Inspiration. $100 donation. 100? 150. I think it's 50. I'll make sure I look this up before I try to remember what this is. So, yes, $100 donation to Extra Life will give the party potions of healing. 1d4 plus 1 for the whole party to have in their collective stores for in case they need it. They may need it. So this morning we had Twilight's Gleaming, which was a fun adventure, kind of a study hall mission, or studying and learning mission as they get back into the Shadowfell and start assessing the fortress they had cleared out. That's, of course, Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. Also, on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern is Scuba and the Rye, a live recorded podcast where me and my buddy Rye, we talk movies, games, D&D, all kinds of things. A few weeks ago we had a community challenge. The goal for that was met. So in another week or so we're going to have a new show on Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern. Sunday with Scoob is what we're calling it. It's basically just sit, chill, play video games, talk D&D. I'm campaign prep, all kinds of crazy things we can work on talking D&D. And I might even give recaps on all the various sessions that I'm involved in. And next couple weeks I'm involved in quite a few. A lot. But that's okay. Because we're here for this. This party's going to have fun, and we're going to do our thing. So with that being said, let's bring in the party. Good evening, everybody. How are we doing?
Hey.
Awesome. Here, everybody. Soundscape is a little loud.
Coffee.
My side. Okay. So, a couple of quick admin things. Unfortunately, real life happens, and Beth, who plays Kerriger, she has to take care of some personal things. So we will not be seeing her for the rest of the season. Hopefully everything settles down and she can come back at her next opportunity. We wish her the best and want to keep her in the community as best we can by thinking of her. Our other cast member, Uriel, Andy, he has some personal stuff going on right now, so we're hoping it gets resolved and he comes back sooner versus later. So until then, we want to show our support and love for them, and we will hopefully see them sooner than later. Like I said, repeating myself. Anyways, in the meantime, the investigation still is ongoing. Where we left off last time, the party had stumbled across the first victim in what appears to be a start of a series of murders that seem to happen every 13 years in the city of Paridon. And after meeting the lead investigator on the case, the party decided to take the opportunity to take invitation to a local kind of boarding house, an inn type place. And the following morning, they met Auntie, and Auntie gave them pies. Gave two pies to Tarvos because she felt Tarvos was needed some more meat on his bones. Go figure. Uh, and after a series of pies, they had to sit there and decide what they were going to do for investigating. In that time, though, Yarviel and Carragher both said that they wanted to go and do some investigating on their own. So they headed off to investigate, which leaves Tarvos, Pearl, and Titus sitting with Auntie, finishing up the last of their pies, and trying to decide what they are going to do for the day, and what investigation how they wish to proceed with their investigation. Because the murderers are here, but they're also been assigned to look for an item of some type that is both powerful and very rare, and again, only seems to appear every 13 years. Coincides to the murders. So,
well, we had some ideas at the end of the last time, I think. I don't remember what they were. I think one was going to a market for some reason. I don't know why, and I can't remember the rest.
well, Auntie had asked if you would be deers and go to the market to pick up some supplies for her, and because you had offered to help her any way you could as a sign of thank you for the wonderful pies and all the information and the conversation, and the fact that so far your experience in Paridon hasn't been the most welcoming, I would say. So having her kind of show you that hospitality and make you feel welcome, even though you're new to this city, to this region, to this land, wanting to excuse me, show your appreciation. And of course, those plans were before Yariel and Carragher had said that they wanted to go and follow a lead that they had thought up. So now that leaves the three of you to decide what to do. It's a subtle way of saying we've got to change up our original plan.
Yeah, I get it. So, biggest thing is, how do we find this item that we don't know how to even ask for?
Well, I think that very, very clearly all the murders and the very curious and suspicious things that have been happening, even since we've been here, I get the sense that they might be related. So perhaps finding answers to all that's happened here recently could lead us to the item that we seek. And if we do this favor, I would say let's go ahead and as a start, do this favor for Auntie to bring the supplies. Again, gain good favor with somebody who lives here, who knows what's going on here, and perhaps could be an ally in the future when we're being chased or trying to hide out somewhere.
Yes, I agree with that. I think that's an excellent idea.
My big question is, how do we ask about these items as we go? See, this is why none of us know how.
I'm not very good at asking questions normally, so in this particular situation, I'm even worse.
Yeah, I can help with asking the questions. I get the sense that there may not be much information to be gained in just asking, because we don't know enough yet to ask exactly what it is. We don't even know what we're looking for. But perhaps what we can do is see what we can find out about these murders, and if we could find out that information, then that could lead us to this item, this rare item that only appears every 13 years. We see that these two things are, or at least in my mind, they're connected.
Possibly, yes. All right. I think I'd follow what you say. That's fine with me.
Yes.
As long as I can have some fun with it, I don't mind.
So, Scoob, did Auntie tell us what it was she wanted from the marketplace?
It's just some general fruits and vegetables and some meat from the butcher for making dinner that night. This time, it kind of the sense in the time period is people don't really have refrigerators or any type of long-term storage, so it's kind of a ritual to go out and get stuff for what you need that day early in the morning, so you can do that. There's some bits and pieces of items that could help preserve food a little bit longer, but most of your like your perishable type things are going to be something that you would have to go and do on a daily. So whether you guys went or not, this is part of her routine that she goes through on a daily basis for the house.
And I would suggest to the party that we just go and purchase these things ourselves and then bring them back to Auntie. And I think that was probably the intention, or may have been, but I would suggest that we do it since she's given us these pies and has been so hospitable to us.
Yes, I agree completely.
Why don't we head off then? And I'll start walking right before you even say yes or not.
Okay.
There she goes again.
All right, Pearl, let's all go together, please.
I don't understand why you aren't coming with me. Come on.
All right, so you step out of the boarding house onto the streets of the city. It's about midday. Because obviously midday about the whatnot, because you know how late it was. Got in and chatting with Auntie, so, which is, you know, everybody's kind of on edge. It's been late night for some people. Others are still going about their stuff. So knowing full well the market will be in full swing. Auntie gives you kind of rough directions on which way it is to the market, as well as some coin to pick up the items that she needs. And as you kind of walk through the streets, you hear chatters and whispers and comments about the murder last night. We're starting to get a little kind of freaked out or whatnot. Starting to see people are kind of hurrying to try and finish their tasks. As you come into the market, it is a bustling place of activity. You have various the hall. You kind of walk into kind of a semi-covered space, kind of like a large meeting area. It's very open. There are lots of people with carts and stalls, various things. You can see fruits and vegetables that are fairly common for like a fall type of time period.
Okay.
The overall temperature is kind of muted, because even here there's not a whole lot of sunlight that really comes in. It's very overcast all the time, but the temperature is not unreasonable for what some of you are used to. And there's still kind of a mist, but it's not as pervasive right now, so you can see further down. And as you step in here, you see all of these various carts and stalls. And what do you wish to do? You have your list, you know kind of what you're looking for. So it's just seeing these various, kind of like a farmer's market, in full on, everything's there kind of deal. People haggling over prices, fruits and vegetables of various sizes and qualities.
Yeah, I would kind of signal to the group that given how we were received earlier, that it would be a good idea for us to, one, stick together, and two, guard our coin as we venture in here. And I'll start looking around at the crowd of people in the marketplace and see if I can eye the the merchant.
Um, while we're doing all of our shopping, I'd like to like keep an ear out for anything that stands out that could, like of past murders from years before, or the stuff, or the item, anything like that. I want to listen for that as we're shopping. See if I can pick any of that up.
I'm just gonna pull my hood over my head a little bit so it kind of covers the horns a little bit, so it doesn't stand out too much. And then kind of stand behind the two of them and make sure nobody is getting too close for comfort, if you know what I mean.
I'll look to Tavros and nod, letting him know that he is blending in perfectly into the environment.
So you're trying to be as inconspicuous as possible, right, Tarvos?
I just try not to. I mean, I'm a massive minotaur, so I'm trying to hide it as much as I can.
You see a full orc and a furbog arguing over tomatoes.
All right.
You see a Goliath trying to a Goliath-sized character sitting there having like fresh apples and oranges and talking to like a gnome, and the gnome is standing there pure defiance like, no, that's 2 copper pieces for that, not 4. See this going on.
I look around and I feel like we're in our element here. So.
But Tarvos is trying to be inconspicuous, so I'm gonna go with Tarvos. Give me a deception check. Pearl, give me a perception.
Oh.
Titus, what were you doing as you were walking through? Obviously, you're leading this procession, or trying to, with Pearl just kind of darting off in one direction or another.
Yeah, it's
like
herding
shiny.
cats.
Let me look at that. Ooh, no, let me look at that. Let me look at that.
I rolled a 10.
You think you're doing awesome as you're sitting there with your hood kind of stuck out to here and looking around. Because your horns are more like a long, like to the side or out to the front. How would you say your horns are? 'Cause
I figured they're kind of like curled out and around. So yeah.
Okay, so you put that hood up. You've got a nice, nice little overcast thing on you as you're going.
I got
sure nobody notices.
I got a 21 on my perception.
Okay.
But even though I'm darting around and being distracted, I'm still listening.
I understand. You said you wanted to keep an ear out, and as you're kind of going from spot to spot, looking at the various things, trying to find stuff for Auntie, and listening to this stuff, you hear a couple of conversations about when a couple of people are chatting, and comments about, oh yes, it was another working lady who was killed. Really? No, you don't say. Oh, it seems that time again. And then further down, you hear another conversation. I heard she was gutted like a fish. And then you hear some other stuff. Yeah, but there was no blood. It's so weird. And other people are sitting there. It's like, oh, it's that. An elderly woman is like, here we go again. You best be careful. In fact, and then you see a gentleman with two younger women who probably is probably a paternal kind of like a father with his 2 daughters, and they have their he's like, and he's hearing some of this. He's like, come girls, we need to make sure we're inside. Don't want to be out too far as we get to later in the day. And just back and forth, as well as the 2, it's like 6 coppers for a pumpkin and all these other things. And as you kind of go through, eventually you see a couple of stalls. Tarvos, you see in one of the stalls, because your nose kind of catches a scent
Okay.
of something, and as you look over, you see kind of a butcher's stall, and there's a dwarf chopping meat up, and some of it hung, and in the back you see another minotaur kind of wrangling some kind of bovine type creature and just carving through, getting it prepped, and I mean it's full on right there. You can just see it, and that. It's a little further away from the vegetables and where the vegetables and the fruits were, but it's kind of flooding your senses with all these sights and sounds, and the sounds of uh, butcher knives being chopped, bone being broken, stuff being cut, ground. I mean, all of that, all over the place.
I want to look around and see if I could find the most timid or frightened looking merchant in the establishment. Is there one that is, I mean, I don't think it's going to be the butcher, but I think there might be somebody else.
Vegetable merchant or something like that.
Go ahead and give me a investigation check. Actually, no. Yeah, give me an investigation check.
That is a 7.
A little hard to tell. I mean, everybody seems like the shopkeepers and the merchants, or it seems like they're going tooth and nail over trying to haggle prices on things.
Is there?
And you've
is
had
there,
to do your fair share of haggling on things
Right.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about okay, well, I'm sorry, a head of cabbage should not have half of it being brown. And you sure you want it? You want me to pay you six copper for this? Really? So you've had to do some haggling to get your supplies for Auntie.
Yeah, and I mean, my background, kind of growing up on farmland, I know what all of this stuff.
You know what
should-
vegetables are supposed to
Yeah.
look like.
Yeah.
Some of these are a little sickly. I mean, not to say that everything that grows in Barovia is of the highest quality either. However, you can definitely tell that might not be entirely.
Right. So I'd like to approach the vegetable merchant,
Okay, there's
whoever's
several
selling the
there. I mean,
cabbage.
several there for the vegetables you're looking for.
Okay.
You see, this one you see is actually another human. He's sitting there. He's little disheveled and kind of down on his luck, and he has a kind of a meager cart to kind of pull from some onions and some radishes, mostly the root type vegetables is what he's got.
Okay. And I'm assuming some of this is on the list that we need
Yes.
to get. Okay. So.
Sorry, I don't have an actual recipe book that says you need 10,
come on.
10 tomatoes, 5 apples, 25
Right.
rutabagas.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Yeah. So I approach and introduce myself and tell him I'm Titus. I've been sent by Auntie to come and collect some items for her and provide him with a list of vegetables to see if he has those there. There's a lot of rutabagas on the list, maybe some carrots, some red onions.
he kind of looks at you as the mention of Auntie. He doesn't quite recognize it, but this is what I've got. So it's kind of, how many did you say you need?
I'm pretty sure I need 25 rutabagas and about half a cart of carrots.
That's it. Okay. Well, most of what I got. It's about most of what I got. So give me I could sell you the whole carts for 4 silver, and you can take all of these. That's a little less than what you were looking for, but you'd basically clear him out for the day. So he's trying to make a deal, and
Right.
he's so 4 silver, and he'll give you all the vegetables that he's got, which is everything, which is most of what you need, and just a little short as far as the quantity.
As I'm kind of haggling with him and kind of looking and I'm inspecting some of the vegetables that are there in the cart and mulling it over, I'll use this as an opportunity to ask him if he's heard anything about all of the things that's been going on here recently with the horrific murders and the deaths, and if he knows anything that he could be willing to tell me. And I get the sense that of merchants that are businessmen, they're concerned about being able to conduct business and get customers into the door. So they would have, I think, some very valuable information.
Go ahead and give me an insight check. Actually, no, not an insight. Give me a persuasion check to see if this works out for you.
It does not work out.
A little rough. I understand.
Nat 1.
Oof. You do not convince him to go into any detail. He's actually kind of like the 4 silver, and we're good.
So
At this, go ahead. I was gonna say at this point I'm gonna take off my hood and just kind of like lean forward and make sure that my horns are quite well seen, and
Okay.
and then I'll ask him as well and about any of the murders that you might have seen.
Okay, and what is your intent? You trying
It's
to
just-
intimidate or persuade?
I'm trying to intimidate for it, definitely.
Okay, go ahead and roll it.
I-
Give me an intimidation.
Use my dice spinners. What do we got here? 9.
He looks up at you, kind of raises an eyebrow. 4 silver, and we're good.
at this point, I'm just going to hand him the 4 silver and just shake my head and say,
He kind of bundles it up and gives you like this like burlap bag with all the vegetables in it. I mean, not all of them are edible, but you just
I'll look at everybody and go, "Oh, that usually works better."
and he just kind of points down the way, and you see that dwarf butcher just berating the Minotaur in the back. Like, you fool! I told you have to cut from the left to the right, not the top to the bottom. Ah! I mean, it's just not going well.
all right, so fully dejected, having not persuaded this guy, I am going to head over to the butcher and see if I can get any more information from him or the dwarf.
Well, the dwarf is the butcher. The Minotaur is the assistant.
It's the dwarf and introduce myself. I'll give the list of foods that I need.
Your mic kind of cut out there, Titus. You want to?
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead and repeat.
Yeah, so I'll approach the dwarf, hand him the list of the meats that I need for Auntie, and then see what information I can gain.
All right. He reaches over, and of course his sleeves all rolled up, and his forearms all covered in blood, and as he comes back and takes it, so it looks at him. Oh, we're out of that today. No. Would dog work instead? We're a little short on wolf on wolf, but we had some stray dogs the other day that somebody had brought over. And looks through. It's like no. He looks at the three of you and is about to say something about another item on the list, but looks over at Pearl and kind of goes, "Nope, we don't have any of that either."
I'm like also like petting my owl, making sure she's near me so he doesn't use the owl.
This is, this is a. He kind of looks over at Tarvos and like, yeah, that's Yeah, I can see why she needs more. Um, 2 gold, and I can get you. I can get you the majority of what's here.
So as we're haggling yet again,
So
uh,
haggling yet again.
I I I take this opportunity and I ask because I'm curious about why there's none of this, no wolf meat available, and ask him, is there a shortage of wolves around this area, or were
Oh,
you
they
just not able to get out safely to get them?
they tend to migrate from place to place. You kill a pack or two, and then all of a sudden things are scarce for a couple of years. It, it happens. But there's plenty of other beasts. Somebody brought in a really large reptile not too long ago. It's been great for business. A real exotic kind of deal.
I see. I see.
If
So
you Tarvos, if you want, go ahead and roll an investigation check. Because I can tell from that look you're like trying to see what it might be.
And since there's another Minotaur, I'm going to ask him, like, are your horns as pointy as his?
You look at him and you see one of the horns is actually broken off halfway down, and the other one is kind of this gnarly angle. I mean, he's not had a good life.
Now,
Uh,
now that I've already asked.
So he's just kind of like, I was.
I
I
rolled
gotta
a
get back
12.
to work. He's me.
You need to be nicer to him.
Dwarf just looks at you with a stern look, and like,
What?
you could feed you go for a high dollar. You might want to watch your mouth, Missy.
What I do?
Cat's a delicacy, and you're a big cat.
I'm gonna like hide behind her. Peek out like,
She means well. Sometimes.
nice.
I'll take your word for it.
You know how cats are.
That's supposed to mean.
I rolled a 12, by the way.
You rolled a 12. You're looking through. You see some. You see a couple. You see some like like bits of bone, and there's a pretty big bone in there, like a leg bone of some type that is about half as tall as you are.
Oh my.
And leaning against the wall with with some other ones. It's still covered with some of the tendon and tissue, like they had carved it off.
I'll ask if there's any way that we can help him maybe resupply, so that we can like if he needs help hunting anything, so that we can and maybe he'll give it to us for free instead of having to pay for the 4 gold.
He kind of declines your odds. Like several hunters bring stuff into me all the time, and we've got enough from this beastie they brought in to kind of last a while.
Oh, well, you can't blame him for trying.
I'm gonna peek out behind Harvest just enough to. What was it? What was the big thing?
Some lizard. All they brought back. They brought back part of the torso and one of the legs. So it was a pretty big. I'd say it's probably something that was like 30 feet long, fully grown. I mean, there's a lot of strange things that live in the woods, especially when they come in and out of the mist. It's really weird. But the meat's good. So been getting top coin for that.
I'll go back behind Harvest.
Titus, would you like to try your persuasion to get information this time?
yes, I would.
All right. Based on the rapport, I would say you could have it if you want. You can take advantage, or if you have any of your boons from those wonderful supportive people through Extra Life, you could make use of one of those to help out.
Remind me what that is.
Believe you guys have amassed a couple of advantage rolls and at least one bardic inspiration over the last couple of sessions. Use or note.
And the bardic is a D6.
D6 on any skill check.
Okay. I will use my advantage.
Okay, go ahead and roll your persuasion with advantage. The DC is going to be low, a little bit lower than before because you guys have managed to both infuriate and praise the butcher at the same time. So it's really kind of weird. A little bit more of the other, but you know, you're there.
So with advantage, I have a persuasion of 14.
It's like, well, it's like, so what's your question? What are you asking?
I'm asking if he could provide any information about the recent deaths that have happened to the young women.
As he's packaging up the meat and stuff for you, because he's assuming you're gonna buy this. He sits there. It's like, yeah, it's happening again. Poor girls. Always at night. Always at night. And very strange. A few days, a week, and then it all goes away for another decade. And you can get the chance to looking at him. You see, he's an older dwarf too. So dwarves are very long lived.
Mm-hmm.
So he has seen. For him, this is just kind of like when the seasons come and go. It happens. It's not that he's concerned or completely apathetic, but compared for dwarfs and the long-lived races, these things aren't as impactful as the shorter-lived races.
Sure.
So him, it's like, because he may have seen that he's in his life estimate he may have seen this half a dozen times since he's been there as a butcher. But he tells you it's basically always been at night that these murders have occurred. They only come for a few days and then they're done.
Is there anything else that happens at the same time? Like anything else besides murders?
The murders are strange amongst themselves because there's almost never any blood. And he says that, you guys take a moment and think about it. And
you said it's... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you said it's only women, girls that are getting killed,
Mm-hmm.
not men or boys.
Young girls.
Okay.
Murder with no blood.
Yeah. Strangest thing every time.
That is very strange.
But there were bodies left behind?
Mm-hmm. All of them. All gutted, carved up, but little to no blood.
Will we
No
know
foot.
creatures that would tend to do this? Would it be around like the Shadowfell and Barovian and things like things like that? Would there,
We've seen vampires and stuff here before. That's nothing unusual. But this is, if it was them, it would be more frequent. These types of murders only happen every few years. And after a little while, he's finished putting the order together that you asked for. And he's like, "That'll be the 2 gold for the pile."
I'm not going to abuse the relationship at this point. I'll just pay the man.
Yeah.
All right, and he accepts it. Hands you over the butcher paper string wrap bundles in another kind of burlap sack for you.
Was there ever any? Sorry, was there ever any markings on the bodies, the victims, the girls? Was there any puncture wounds or anything at all? Like maybe, like you said, vampires. Did they have any teeth marks in their necks or anything at all? Anything noticeable?
Not that he's aware of. The fact that they're carved up and kind of gutted.
True. Yeah. I'm sure what I was thinking. Never mind.
Once we start heading off and stuff, I thought maybe we should talk to the authority that we talked to earlier. Maybe he would be able to tell us some more things.
Perhaps.
He wanted to talk to us more anyway, so.
That's true. He did. Maybe it would be a good time to go and talk to him.
After we bring these to Auntie.
Well,
Scoot.
yes, of course.
Yes.
Scoob, would I be among Paridon's most wanted list at this point since I was out adventuring?
Say again.
Would I be on the most wanted list if I was not with Tavros and Pearl whenever that happened?
You were there. You just were the strong silent type.
Oh, strong silent type.
I see how it is. All right.
Strong silent type in the previous excursion. So you're aware of the assault on Tarvos and how wounded he was, and everything else going on, and spent more of your time being concerned with that than Pearl running off into the fog like a crazy person.
You were supposed to follow me. This is how it works. We all go together. We all wander together.
Right.
That's what her family always does.
I would be in agreement with your recommendation, Pearl, to go and speak to the authority. But I will say this, that he probably will not be very forthcoming with information to us if we're subject of the investigation. So that's something that we need to be considerate of or mindful of. But yes, we should go together and not wander off.
Wander with me.
Yes. All right. So have we gotten everything that we need from the marketplace?
Yeah, back and forth. You've managed to get everything Auntie needs for a nice stew and some more pies. Picked up some flour and some sugar, eggs, all of those necessities that are kind of a daily thing. The vegetables and whatnot she asked for making some type of stew or porridge type thing to kind of as a food supplement. She didn't have a whole lot, so the meat was probably the most expensive thing you picked up. The rest of it you got away with for a few silver, the amount of quantity. Some reason she seems to need far. A couple of the shopkeepers that you talk to are familiar with Auntie and had the name. I lost the name.
The innkeeper?
Yeah, the innkeeper again.
Yeah, I was trying to remember this.
Your mic cut out again.
Koth, I think, was the name of the guy.
Yeah, Koth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, Koth. So.
Yeah,
Moving.
so I think we ought to drop these supplies off first, and then go find the authorities.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So you head back over to Auntie. Do you see Mr. Koth inside? And he is talking with Auntie, and there's another woman there who he introduces as his wife, Meryl, and they're kind of conversing a little bit about the guests and what's happened. And Auntie sees you come in and greets you and thanks you for the supplies, and starts getting to work as apparently the other conversation ended. Koth and his wife head off and leave the premise to work on to do something. You're not sure.
Yeah, I would make sure that we return her coin to her.
Okay. Your mic cut out again. I don't know what it is. Your mic keeps cutting out on us.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yep. It's like a Verizon commercial. Old one.
Oh, he moved over to Sprint.
Yeah, that's
Then
right.
Sprint
That's
got
right.
then Sprint got bought by T-Mobile. So yeah.
So I offer the coin back to her, and I'll just pay for I'll just use deduct from my coin to pay for everything.
Okay.
And thank her for the fine meals with the pies, and let her know that if she hears of anything concerning what's going on in the city, that she should try to reach out to us and let us know immediately. keep an ear out as
Sounds good. And your mic seemed to just drop all of a sudden.
well.
Now it's back. So I'm not
It's
sure
so
what
weird,
it is.
yeah.
Maybe it's your
Pause, it comes
projection.
back. I don't know.
Yes.
But I caught most of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
she accepts that, and she's like, doesn't. She's slightly taken aback that you gave the money back to her, but considering she thinks of you as guests in the boarding house, so she's trying to make sure the guests are taken care of, and even though but she is appreciative of the fact that you did get the stuff that she asked for. And then as she starts to go through it, and of course all right, this isn't going to work. This will work for this. Just starting to sort, chop, and just a worry of motion in the kitchen.
Okay.
I'm gonna look over her and say they had some kind of a weird insect thing at the butcher's. Do you happen to know what it was? You've never seen anything like that with all your time here in Barovia? Nothing.
Like, I've never been to Barovia, but but I've lived here all my life, and I have no idea. I don't venture out into the wilderness. I don't know what kind of strange things they bring back.
Oh, okay. I just thought you might know. I apologize.
And I'll ask her to tell us where we might find the authorities, the marshal or constabulary, whoever he is.
She thinks about it. It's like most of them are wandering the city. I think their police house is kind of gives you a rough idea where it is, but most of the time, and as you were walking back, you saw there are constables and whatnot wandering around the kind of walking specific areas.
Okay. So easy enough to find. Is the main
Yeah,
point.
it shouldn't be too hard to find someone, speak to them, and then ask about who you're looking for and where they are and where you might be able to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
So at this point, it's probably close to it's close to the evening. I think you probably got about another hour or so before the sun starts to before the day kind of ends and moves into that twilight before it gets to night. About to say sunset, but there's not a whole lot of sun that you can tell.
Just thinking
If there is sun, it's cloud cover covers most of it. So it's that moment it's going and it's going to start getting dark.
Cool.
I will ask a question of Koth or of Auntie as we're standing there to see where is there a specific area of town where the murders are more frequent?
Koth, who has already left, so you can't really ask him. Auntie, on the other hand, says, probably about a few blocks, not too far from here in the next district. That she taught that, and she mentions it and kind of points you there, which is, as she describes it, and you think about how long it took you to walk over, it's probably right about where you saw the first murder to begin with. So, that could be but it kind of varies, but it's all typically within that kind of ward or district of the city, because that's a lower income. There's more probability, and she tells you all the little colorful words for night workers and things like that could be prime targets every time this kind of happens.
I'll turn to the group and offer as a thought. We understand that these murders only happen at night, and we really want to get to the bottom of this. I would offer that we find a secure place near this district where these murders have been happening, and just keep an eye and an ear out for a few hours to see what we can discover, if anything, before coming back here to get our rest.
Could we maybe find like somewhere high to watch so we can see more than one spot? Maybe like on the roof or something.
Yes. Would we be able to see Scoob? I mean, that's the with the mist, the fog.
Nope.
Yeah.
When it gets into when it gets into that time, when it gets at night and whatnot, and the fog is fairly thick, you're only going to see a few feet in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So getting on a roof to look down onto the street is a great idea, but unfortunately, realistically, you're not going to see much. And as you think back to the night before with the fact how thick the fog was,
Mm-hmm.
and how easy it is to get turned around in this place, because you're still not 100%, you're still not very familiar with it. You walked a few streets, got lost a couple of times trying to find the market, finding your way back, so you're starting to learn, but there is a lot of turns and alleys and cross streets, and it is just a maze of streets and corners and stuff. And so you thinking about that and thinking about, okay, some of the buildings are 3 or 4 stories tall, all kind of built close to each other. I mean, it's not exactly an easy thing to be wandering through.
I have another question for you.
This is that close to us. We're not going to be able to see it if it does happen unless they're there attacking us.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah.
Right.
It does make the investigation harder. I'm not gonna lie.
I have a
And no,
question.
you're not going to convince me to make it easier, because that's not going to be any fun either. So, nice attempt, but no.
Try to make it easier.
Just no.
So,
Tight.
question about this silvered amulet.
Okay.
Does it only direct us to a place, or an item, or a person?
Go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
Ooh, my strongest suit.
Oh, great! This will be easy for you.
That is a 15.
Nice.
Highest roll of the night.
So far, there's always room for more. That being said, though, thinking back to what Pennyworth told you, and discerning that the enchantment that's on the amulet is reminiscent of the find path spell.
Okay.
Find path. Trying to remember. Yeah, find the path. Gives you for a specific location within the same plane of existence, so to speak. So it's a little, and you have to know specifically what it is you're looking for.
Of course, our person that wants us to do this can tell us.
I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
I would say we probably need to wait till it's not so close to dark then and go for the authorities in the morning.
Yes, if the mist is that thick, we don't want to get lost. And it seems like it might be fairly easy to do that.
Okay. So what do you plan to do for the night?
Can we stay at the inn again?
Yes. You have rooms. You'll have rooms there. You have rooms, and it'll be the fare for that. For the
Okay.
for the party to stay there, it's probably about a gold a night, basically. And
That's
it gives you
fine.
all your food and room and board, all that fun stuff. I mean,
Okay.
drinking, of course, you'd have to go to a pub or type place for that kind of beverage.
Yeah.
But you'll have rooms. You can stay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pay for the entire party then.
Okay.
It's
It's kind of a tab, so when you settle up, that's when you pay out.
perfect.
One of those things, if you were to stay for like a month or more, it'd be like on the first of the month.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, for sure. Yeah, of course. Makes sense. Okay, cool.
What we can do while we're staying in
I'm
the
sorry.
night?
I'm sorry, Paul. You're gonna have to speak up a little bit.
Sorry, I was trying to think if there's anything else we could do that night as we're spending the night, but I can't think of anything. I don't know if you guys can. It's like how we could figure this out better, but I'm on a pretty big blank. How about you guys?
I will let you guys discuss while I go grab a drink. So you guys can discuss amongst yourselves because this is a lot to kind of go through and figure out.
Sure.
So I will be right back.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like we're getting very far very quickly, and we only have so much time.
That's true.
And I mean, we'll go and talk to the authorities in the morning, but I kind of doubt we're going to get much out of that either.
Yes, part of my thinking, though I understand now with the amulet that it doesn't work the way that I would hope it would be that we might be able to be pointed in the right direction, and find whatever murderous or vicious thing this was that was doing these evil acts, find them, and see them, catch them in the act. Um, but I fear, one, we might not be prepared for what it is we encounter, or two, we might be spotted by one of the constables and be even more suspicious to them, walking out in the middle of the night. Um, but I'm at a loss right now as we consider what to do.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we go to. I'm trying to think. Like maybe go to that district when it's not night. Talk to the people that are in that district. Maybe
Yes.
they'll know more
Yes.
because they were there.
Yes.
Maybe they saw somebody.
I mean, obviously we saw somebody, we just couldn't catch them.
Exactly. That's a good idea. I like that.
Or maybe if we knew a little bit more about this creature or something, we could maybe look it up in the library or something like that. But
Somebody else in town. Perhaps somebody else in town knows about it.
maybe. So we're all in agreement to talk to the authorities and then maybe go to that district afterwards. Then
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's the plan?
So we're going to rest for the evening and then go out at first light to speak with the authorities, and then venture into that district and ask any of the people that we could find that live there if they have heard or seen anything that's happened in the last few nights.
Okay. All right. So the idea is you're planning to stay indoors and stay indoors for the night and go out in the morning. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Alrighty. So you guys stay. What do you guys do for the evening?
I'm just going to look over my notes and see if we've missed anything, and reflect on what's been said and the disposition of everyone that we've encountered. And obviously, whenever I do go into my my room, I will make sure that my back is not against the door, and that I'm prepared for anything.
Okay.
I have a second chess set. Tavros, you want to play with me until it's time to go to sleep?
I
Good.
think I will decline. I have to go sharpen my horns. Yeah,
What did I say now?
that's it. Look how dull they are. I have to go.
Okay.
He's never right away. I understand.
And then I'll go up to my room and I'll quickly close and lock the door.
Okay.
Oh, cats. Oh.
Now, Titus, are you in the main area when you're doing the note thing, or are you in your room when you're doing the note thing?
I am in the main area when I'm doing the note thing.
Then I come over to you and ask about chess too.
And you ask about what?
The chess set. I have a chess set. I have a dragon chess set.
Oh. I don't know that I have any proficiency in that.
You need to have proficiency. It's supposed to be fun.
Okay, so
We can go about that. We can go about that.
yeah.
Do you want to play a game of chess?
Sure.
Okay. Who is going to go first, or do we want to
I'll let him go first.
let him go first?
Yes, the novice, the guy who knows nothing about games.
Well,
That's fine. That's fine.
That's actually a for you to go first.
All right, go ahead. And by the time you're getting into this is now it's nighttime, getting into the late evening, and whatnot. So, Titus, go ahead and give me an intelligence check.
Yeah,
Intelligence.
That's why Tavros didn't play chess.
That is a solid 8.
All right, Pearl, give me an intelligence check.
This is gonna be fun. Oh, I got 15.
All right. So Titus, you make the first move, and Pearl makes one where it puts that piece in danger. A few more moves are exchanged. Go ahead and give me you make a move, and it's a critical one where she takes one of the pieces from your side. Go ahead and give me another intelligence check, and Pearl, you give me another intelligence.
10.
16.
Think you had it's like, all right, pawns, or okay, so you move around, and she takes another piece. Go ahead and give me another set.
Oh, this is so true to life. 2.
2. Okay, Pearl. 20. A natural 20.
That's funny.
Yeah, she takes the queen. She takes the queen. You now only you lost about half your pieces at this point. Go ahead and give me another set of intelligence checks.
12.
12.
7.
She got overconfident, and you start to take a few pieces from her side of the board. This is starting to get intense as she's thinking she had an easy mark, and you're turning it on her.
Yep. Titus rolls up his sleeves and leans forward, looking closer at the board.
All right. Go ahead and give me another set.
10.
19.
And she lured you into a trap. Now you're in the danger of losing. Go ahead and give me another set.
11.
2.
Ooh, and you paid her back for it. Now you're in a position you could one of you could put the other in check. So you you get her in check, and she almost can put you in check. Give me another set.
17.
Oh, I got 11.
You have her in check.
Oh no.
One more. She's trying to get herself out of it. This next roll, we'll see what happens on this next one. All right, go ahead and roll it.
I got a nat 20.
I got a dirty 1.
And that would be checkmate.
That
Pearl
is...
has succeeded in the game.
What's your modifier? I'm just curious.
Oh, it is a -1.
Oh, mine's a 0.
At the end of the game, I'm playing with checkers pieces, coasters, whatever I can find.
But yeah, it was
a nut off the ground.
Yeah.
So, and the game is gone about, so it gets to be pretty late. It's getting close to about midnight, as you guys are sitting in the common room.
Oh, and I put all the pieces away. I purposely put the bag under the table so that I can slowly knock each one off the table, like a cat would. Just kind of... when it goes into the back.
Nice. I like that.
All right. Tarvos, what are you doing while they're playing this game?
Sleeping.
Okay.
Getting a long rest.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Pearl and Titus, go ahead and give me perception check.
16.
That's a nat 1 to make 5.
Jesus.
I used all my nat 20s on stupid chess game.
Titus, as you're sitting there and bundling up your notes and going about after this game, you hear the clock striking midnight, and then everything is quiet. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing whistles being out on the street.
Do you think we should go look?
Does the quieting, calming of the atmosphere, does that happen with people recognizing that the clock has struck midnight? Or
It's
is
kind
it
of like a collective hold your breath.
okay?
Wait. And now the whistle and now the whistles are going.
Are the
Okay.
whistles loud enough to wake me up?
Give me a Constitution check.
No, well, he hasn't told me yet because I didn't notice.
Ooh, 21.
Oh,
Nope, you are sleeping like a baby.
All right.
Yeah, I tell Pearl that I heard whistles out in the street. And are they the whistles of a alarm as from the
They're
constables?
the whistles of the constabulary. You heard them a few times throughout the day as you were traveling, but this is quite a few of them being blown with intensity. It's like they're willing it to be louder, and they are going off all across. They're starting to go off in succession. As you move toward the exit, you hear the sounds of boots and shoes on the cobblestone with the running and the whistling, and it seems like there's utter panic outside right now.
As soon as he tells me, I would jump up and should we go see? Should we go see?
No, we should not. Go. Let's go get Tavros first. Yes, I understand. I understand. Sound, you go to the sound. Yes, I get it. Go. Let's go get Tavros before we head out anywhere. And is there anybody standing around that's also looking out there?
You go as far as looking outside.
It's like looking towards the sound.
All right. As you kind of poke your head out and look, go ahead and give me a perception check.
All right, I will do that, and I will use my bardic inspiration.
That works.
I'll be back in about 2 seconds.
Okay.
All right, so that is a 15.
15. There aren't a lot of people on the street. People are understandably concerned about what's starting to happen. You see a group of 3 or 4 constables running down the street. You can hear them more than see them, except as like dull shadows in the fog. Because at night it gets very foggy throughout the city. And you hear them as they kind of run past on a nearby cross street.
Okay. So I can get a sense of what general direction they're running. They're all running to that direction?
Yes. Several are. They're trying to converge on that direction.
Okay. I'll ask Pearl to go and see if she can wake Tavros, and then meet me back down here immediately.
Okay. Pearl?
And goes and does what he says.
All right, so you go up and you knock on Tarvos's door, or what? How do you go about trying to wake him up? Say again?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I can't hear you very well, Pearl. You gotta speak up, sweetie.
Sorry. I would start with knocking on the door, but
Okay.
I like Titus's idea where I scratch on the door. Like that. I like that.
So it's like the Tarvos, go ahead and give me another Constitution to see if you're get your attention.
14.
Nope, not quite loud enough.
Next thing I'm gonna go.
Eventually, she starts doing the thing. Tarvos.
One more time.
Tarvos. Tarvos.
Eventually, I'll stand up and go, "Oh, cats!" And then I'll open the door.
You open the door, and there's Pearl. She's kind of got her hands up, like she was gonna start scratching.
Hi.
Yes.
Whistles. Come on. Like grab him and like pull on his clothes and pull him.
Okay. All right, just let me get dressed.
Oh, we don't have time for that. We need to go. Come on.
I'm gonna push her away and then close the door and get my armor on and my weapons and such, and then I'll go back downstairs.
Knocking on the door again.
Yeah. Oh.
Alrighty. So Tarvos comes down the stairs, kind of still waking up. So now what do the three of you do?
I pulled him out of the door.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you got all there. So you're coming down. What are you gonna do?
I'm going to tell Tavros what we heard, and then what we saw as those constabularies ran in that direction. I think there might be something going on now. There may be another murder afoot. It might be in our interest to go and check this out, but try and stay out of sight.
Well,
The whole time
I
I'm
will- I will do the best that I can to stay out of sight. The mist will help.
And then she starts trying to pull on Titus. Come on, let's go.
Yes. Okay.
We need to find her.
Wander off again.
Do we have like I don't want to say a bell, but maybe a rope or something?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Little bell we can put around her neck.
yeah.
You guys have explorers packs and stuff like that. You would have 50 feet of rope.
Yeah.
Oh.
I reach for my.
Because I would try to dodge.
I get to
Yeah,
walk up to the innkeeper and say,
Do you have to have an extra bell? We might be able to have a little tiny bell.
At this point, Auntie's the one who kind of wakes up, and she's in her night clothes. She's pulling on a robe. She said, "What's all this racket, dearie? What? I'll make pies in the morning. What's all this racket?"
Apparently, there were whistles outside, and I'm just curious if you had a bell that we could attach to Pearl so she doesn't run off again.
And when you mention the whistles and thinks about, she starts to kind of just get this cold alertness about her.
Oh.
And there might have been you could say, kind of see something flash across her face, and then she then tries to just kind of put on that brave face, that friendly, calm face again, now that she's had a moment to kind of react. And no, dear, I don't have another bell. Just the one for the door. And she points to one that's kind of hanging over the door. It's kind of like, the early doorbell when someone walks in, kind of deal, so nobody can walk in unannounced.
Now
My
Pearl's
apologies.
never going to leave.
I was going to say, my apologies, ma'am. I didn't mean to upset you.
It's good, dearie. It's good. You should go back to bed. Let the constabulary attempt to handle this.
Can I reach the bell?
Yes, because you can stretch your arm over. Well, should be able to, and even so, you could probably climb up to where you could hit the bell. But the minute you attempt to do that, Auntie kind of gives you that mom look. I mean,
Touch it and then come down, but I didn't make it.
you know the one I'm talking about. The one where it's like every parent looks at their kid. It's like gives you the parent glare. Like, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And no, this is not a cutscene to pushing the button when no one's looking.
Okay, so I'll suggest to Titus and Pearl.
Auntie says that we shouldn't follow, but I'm somewhat curious as to what's going on. What do you think?
I'm working my way. I'm already at the door because I was trying to touch the bell. So if I can't touch the bell, I'm going to start working my way out the door. Just saying.
Okay.
You might either want to grab me or come with.
I'll reach into my pack and pull out my 50-foot rope, and I say,
Well, you'd have to go up to your room and try and come back down. And as you come back down, you kind of see Auntie standing there, giving Pearl the look. She's sitting there. She's putting her hand down and reaching for the door to open the door, and Tarvos is kind of in between the two, trying to be like, "What have I done?" And is kind of moving toward the door. So you come down, you've got your rope, and you see this, and you're just like,
"What you gonna do with that?"
I don't know if I want to ask. It's kind of that. It's that kind of situation.
Do you happen to know the road back to Theros by any chance? These two are scaring me.
If you want, Titus, go ahead and roll a history check to see if any of that makes sense to you.
I'm watching Titus.
11.
Dodge.
He speaks of this place, and you're like, I have no idea what it is. and Tarvos, he sits there, he's trying, it's like no idea. It could be 10 miles, it could be 2 planes. He has no idea where where is this place you speak.
It's not important right now. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm going to suggest, in actual seriousness at this point, that we do at least all clasp onto the rope, if not be tied, Pearl, and that will help us to stay together as a group and not be separated, because it'll be very difficult for us to navigate.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
You're not going to try to tie me up when I get close. Insight. Insight. And right now, I saw a face.
What?
She wants to insight whether or not Titus is going to use this as an excuse to tie her up from doing something stupid later.
I apologize. Okay, cool.
No, I'm sure a lot of people are like, really?
Like what?
So go ahead, roll that dice.
Jeez.
Nat 20. And for 20.
I am definitely going to tie you up.
I'm not coming near that rope.
He's like, no, this is so we don't get separated.
Yeah.
Oh, nope.
All right, so she declines the offer.
So there's just me and Tavros standing there holding a 50-foot rope.
Kind of, sort of, as you come out, you're on the streets.
Because I'm afraid of him, I'm going to go out the door. I'm out the door.
You're on the city streets. The fog is again thick as always. You can only see maybe 10 or 15 feet at best. You do see the glow of the street lamps, which are these kind of these kind of street lights that have kind of like a continuous flame spell in them to provide light, and they're spaced at regular intervals. You could see the glow through the fog, so you can kind of make your way. Who is leading the procession?
Well, I will because I saw which direction they were going.
Okay, go ahead and give me a survival check to see if you can for navigating through.
Do I have more than one advantage?
I believe you guys have acquired 2 in the last 3 weeks,
All right. Well, I will use my second advantage.
and that should use them up. Unless someone is charitable to start donating to Extra Life in $15 increments to give you guys advantage on your next dice roll.
All right. So that advantage is a whopping 10.
Huh. Wow.
You lead them through, and you think you're heading the right way as best you can, but it's you're thinking you're expecting more conversation as it goes, but it's actually getting kind of quieter. So you might have got yourself turned around by a wrong turn somewhere.
I would be
All
trying
right.
my ears and things to listen, and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all of that.
I said I'd be trying to use my ears and things to try and listen as we go.
All right, go ahead and give me a perception.
Yeah, I'm following kind of behind the 2 of them so that Pearl is in the middle so that she can't run off without me seeing it.
Good idea.
That was great.
That was an 8.
Yeah, I rolled low.
No, you're still kind of you're distracted and still kind of fixated on why would anyone not just rush off to go and look for something? This is just so counter to your actions of late.
Can I try?
Keep an eye on that rope. I don't want it getting too close to me.
What do you want to try and do? Perception, survival.
perception.
What are you trying to do?
Perception to
Okay,
see if
go
I
ahead
can
and give me.
tell.
Go ahead and roll a perception.
Ooh, that's better. 20, 17 plus 3.
Nice. So you kind of hear some of the conversation off to the side. Titus is kind of leading you in a kind of a perpendicular direction to that, and you kind of can speak up and tell them, I think they're over here on the left. And Titus will turn, and you guys start to head toward the left. Eventually, you do find a group of people that had congregated. Some of them look really you thought they would look really weird the night before. Tonight, some of them just seem really. Some of them have like these high metal collars on, presumably to try to prevent slashing. Some people are just kind of the looky-who's kind of wanting to see what's going on. You see the constabulary over. As you kind of work your way in, you do see that there is another body lying on the ground. The throat's cut completely. Several other incisions. It looks kind of like they were opened up and examined. Looking at the internals, and there's again little to no blood. All of this kind of this grossness of the murder, the brutality of it. But there's no blood, and especially Tarvos, being a soldier, seeing the battlefield, you've seen horrific wounds and what happens when blades and limbs meet. And this is just totally kind of mind-boggling how there's little to no blood, but they've been just carved open. You would expect a huge puddle around the body, spray, and things like that. Nope, nothing.
Would the policeman that we saw last time be there?
Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
Would I ever have heard of any kind of a monster that might have done this, or?
Give me a nature check.
Got an 11.
Got an 11. You don't see him on site yet. Just some of the other ones, some of the other constables are trying to kind of keep things clear from the body. Tarvos?
17.
No creature that you are currently familiar with
Okay.
would go to this much effort and not consume something or to drain a body of blood would require less. Some of this is just like, okay, this happened, but it was like, if you're going to drain the body of blood, I mean, you've heard of vampires and vampiric creatures, and this is too much work to just drain the body of blood and move on.
So it looks like somebody's actually drained the body of blood. It's not just like
the body was cut open, kind of like someone would field dress an animal.
Okay.
Kind of deal, that kind of full up cut across the midsection, the throat slit, all of that.
Well,
these
surgical.
Wounds and injuries would indicate that there should be a lot of blood.
Okay.
But there's no blood.
But there's none.
Or there's very little blood.
Weird.
I think I know something out of character. I don't know if my character would know it.
Well, if you don't think your character would know, then that would be a skill check to see if your character would find out. Otherwise, that is what is called metagaming.
So that would be
player knowledge to character knowledge.
Yeah, that's exactly why I brought it up. So medicine check.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, I have no idea.
16. And
what is your question? What are you trying to determine?
Well, I think the woman was dead before she was cut open. That's why there's no blood.
That's entirely plausible. You go and you take a look without being able to get close to the body. You're kind of at a distance because the constables aren't letting you get close to the body.
Mm-hmm.
But you can kind of estimate that the throat probably was the first act, and then there was this other part.
Yeah. So how close are we to the crowd of people?
You would have had to be in the crowd in order to see past the constabulary. Tarvos doesn't have to be quite as close because he's got that height advantage.
Right.
But he does have to kind of weave around because again there are taller creatures as well as because again this is just about any race you can imagine lives in this city in some grouping or of another. So it's a very big melting pot of races, as everywhere in the world is.
Right.
And kind of just looks in, but from what you can tell, you don't see you don't see any real difference. But just looking at this and kind of piecing it together, your best theory is that the throat was cut first and that the rest of this was after.
Yeah. So I kind of retreat back to where Pearl and Tavros are, and I relay what I've observed with that, and say, I don't think this was a single act. I think this was done very carefully over time in the cover of night. I may be wrong about this, but the fact that there's not very much blood tells me that much of the gore that we see was after that young woman was already slain.
What if they did all of that and then put the body down? I wonder.
Can we tell if there was any blood under the body?
Not at this distance. You'd have to actually get closer to the body, and so far the constables are not letting you or anyone nearby until someone else of authority comes up.
The yellow tape of Paridon.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Police line, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Outer edges to see if we see any drag marks or anything that would indicate that it got pulled there, or like like on the outer edges of it, like is there blood off?
Give me an investigation check.
Such a good modifier for investigation. Yeah, that's a 3.
No. And
Can I ask?
even so, there doesn't appear to be any drag marks at all. Looks like where this person was is where they dropped.
Can I talk to anybody in the crowd and ask them if they saw anything?
Okay.
Like if they saw a person or maybe anybody witnessed anything at all?
Nope.
No, okay.
There's just like we heard a scream, heard the whistles. It's been kind of a wild night out on the streets.
Okay.
Because everybody's on edge and people are being pranksters.
Oh, good.
Some people saw there. You hear some chattering. It's like, this took too long because there was too many people who were just being insensitive and pulling pranks. So,
okay,
it's a grumbling.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Hey, Tavros, did you get a good look at the guy that stabbed you in the back?
I don't know, did I?
Go ahead and give me a history check.
Oh, I'm not sure. I can't remember if I did or
I
not.
was facing him and attacking him, so would I have gotten a good look at him?
14.
Give me a history check, bro.
I just got another nat 20.
Jeez.
Looked like the figure of the coachman who's running from the who picked up the who apparently was at the ready when the presumed killer jumped into the coach. The mustache and whatnot. That's about all. There's no other really defining features other than that.
I'll relay that to them.
Pearl, did you say in character that about the dragging marks?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
So-
taking it as in character. So.
Yes. So I'm trying to put two and two together here, guys. Tavros and Pearl, correct me if I'm wrong, but the guy that struck you, Tavros, was the coachman of that carriage. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe it was. Yes.
And we saw the other one, the presumed murderer, get in to that carriage, right?
Yes,
Yes, he did. Yeah.
I jumped after the carriage, so I got a glimpse.
What do you think about this? That maybe the murders didn't happen in the street,
Well, they happened in the carriage.
or at some other location, and
Or-
they're just dumping the body in the cover of night.
That does seem
Make more.
to be the best way. It's a not. I mean, you wouldn't kill somebody in the street if you had a place to do it.
Right, and clearly this had to take time. I mean, we've all seen what great care there was in cutting and doing all of this to this woman. Aside from the slashing of the throat, everything else seems to be with very great finesse.
Do the cuts look very clean, or is it very like does it look like it was a skilled, like somebody who's skilled at cutting, or somebody who's just like stab?
Give me a investigation.
15.
An idea. What if they're using the blood for something? That's why they
Oh,
don't
that
have
could be.
So cult or something like that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You said a
15.
plausible theory of 15.
Yep.
The cuts are precise as far as they went exactly where they were intended to go.
Okay.
Someone who is practiced.
Good.
From this
Okay.
distance, that's about all you can tell.
No, that's good to know.
They don't look. It doesn't look. It's
They're not
precise.
random,
man. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
The cuts aren't
Good to-
random. It's like this is somebody knew what they were doing and they did it quick.
Good. Okay, good to know. Cool.
So, in summing up, everybody in the crowd is pretty much people that showed up after the body appeared. And the constabularies were all responding because somebody cried out and said there's a body, and they showed up
Cried
there.
out, and there was a scream,
Mm-hmm.
and the calls for murder kind of dominoed out. I'm sorry, Pearl, I didn't quite hear you.
Other idea. What if we go to the families of who died? Try to find out the connection. We'd have to be sensitive, though.
Yes.
I think with that, we're going to take a short 10-minute break. Stand up, grab drinks, all that fun stuff. Got some questions that have come in. Question from Kit Matari: is the light still on Tarvos's horn? No, because they didn't cast it on Tarvos's horn today. It's been extinguished for many hours. So
I'll be right back, guys.
I can do it again.
So just to kind of throw that out there, but we're going to take a quick break. Back in just a few minutes. Alrighty, and we're back. While on the break, we had a couple of comments and questions, so we'll get that first since everybody's here. Comment from Kit Matari: this is a great mystery murder. I have no idea who might have done it and why. Cesori the Red Sand comment: you. Okay.
Yes.
Cesori the Red Sand again. You guys are awesome. Keep up the great work. I hope you're all having a wonderful week. I'm having a good week. Well, it's been very busy. How about you guys? All good for the most part?
Yes.
Yeah, great week. Absolutely.
Been lots of fun role play all around.
Oh yeah.
I think this is my. Wait a minute. I think this is my 4th game I've DM'd
wow.
in 4 out of 5 I've DM'd in this week.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm DMing another one tomorrow, so yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Okay. Question from Kit Matari: what class is Pearl? Pearl is a monk, a Tabaxi monk from a monastery that apparently had access to the Shadowfell.
Yep.
Another question from Kit Matari: how many days before the artifact is gone for another 13 years? Spoiler, I can't tell you because then they'll know and they need to be keeping track of their notes. Zori the Red Sand comment: remember, you're awesome and have fun. While we do this, we have fun. Not exactly going the way I thought it was going to go, but you know what? Like everything else, best laid plans go completely out the window once the players get involved.
It's the most fun when it goes off the rails.
It is, because then it's like everybody. That's where you really making me kind of go, okay, how do I steer this ship back in the way, you know? Miskick comment: amazing story, nice RP, keep up the amazing work and story. Thank you, we do our best. And comment from Simon 1960: love the Wildcat. Yeah, she's something.
It's a handful. Yeah.
So yeah, she is definitely something. Alrighty, so
Exactly how I planned it, but hey, it works.
what we do. That's what we do.
I love it. I'm having fun.
Fun, then we're obviously doing something wrong.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
I'm still finally recovering from dinner.
What did you have?
I went to pick up my Jeep because the shifter cable on my Jeep busted right before Labor Day at the beginning of September. And they called me and said the part was on back order. And so it finally got fixed, and a couple other things got fixed, and I went to go pick it up, and we passed a billboard, that talked about a seafood restaurant, and it's like, in the mood for seafood, and this place just opened like literally 3 days ago.
Perfect.
So we went to check it out, and it's one of those like oil type places where they give you they put what you want in a bag and boil it, and then serve it to you. So you can kind of open the bag. You have like this like shrimp and mussels and crab and like Cajun seasoning and this different level of spice and everything. And it's just they put when I first walked in, because it's COVID and everything, right? So they have this wax paper over the table, and I'm seeing that and I'm thinking, oh, that's an easy way to clean up for the whole extra sanitation because of COVID. And then I sit there and the waitress is like, have you ever been to one of these places before? I said, nope. And she goes, well, here we go. And she tells me what it is, and I'm like, that explains the paper. Gotcha. So my wife and my daughter come and we order, and it's like, I think it was like $27 for the bag.
Nice.
And it's enough to feed two people, right?
Sure.
I know we did that. We added a little extra half a pound of black mussels in there, and go through that. And when I was done, I was like, oh man, that's filling. Oh boy. Oh boy. It's like I got home and was starting to look through things, and it's like I kind of want to do that. You're so full, you want to fall asleep and be like, I'm done. I'm good. It's called Pier 88 is the name of the restaurant. I don't know if they're a chain. I honestly had not heard of them until I went in there. And the cooler thing was they have it, since it's still all shiny and new, and I started seeing people had written on parts of the walls. And I asked the waitress, well, what's up with that? She goes, oh, here you go. Hands us a group of markers. It's like, just don't write on this spot or this spot, but write whatever. If you got like a Facebook or an Instagram or whatever, go ahead and write it on there and to self-promote. So yeah, we tagged Scuba Studio in a couple of places.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but it was great food. I would highly recommend it. For me, my wife, and my daughter, drinks, food, everything, under $50.
Not bad.
That's not bad for seafood.
No, especially when you're talking snow crab
Mm.
and mussels, and even the one that had lobster in it. It's only like $30.
Wow.
So I mean, it's a lot of food. I mean, little corn on the cob bits. Even had a boiled egg in there. I mean, and it's just going through just big. I mean, it's the wildest dining experience I've ever had. But I've derailed this place quite enough. So
I bet Pearl would love it.
Yeah.
I think all of us would love it. Just this cell thing. It's like he brings us over, puts it down, and says, "Oh, let me get you a bucket." No kidding, a bucket with gloves and bibs and wipey things and plastic silverware, and the bag's on a plate. You untie the bag, you open it up, and then it's just. I mean, it's like all finger food. It's like the messiest dining experience I've ever had since I was like, when you're like that little kid and then you're having your first birthday and they just give you the cake and you know what's gonna happen and you're end up covered in cake. It's kind of that kind of joy of eating again. It was wild. All right. Fine dining aside, you guys are around the murder scene. The constables are there, and then after a little while, Inspector Logan shows up and sees the three of you standing there, and then proceeds to go and start to inspect the body. And he's looking in there and looking about it, and this is about the point you guys could try and get a little closer, and he kind of looks like and talks to a couple of the officers, and it's like, no, they weren't anywhere near. It kind of gets that, and then he kind of waves you in so you can come in and get a little closer, because you guys did happen to see the first victim, so you're kind of, it's like, okay, So you come in and you get a little closer, and now you can actually get a full view, a much clearer view of the body. And as stated before, and as Inspector Logan is inspecting it, he's kind of looking over, and it's like makes a comment about the fact it's weird. All of the internal a number of the internal organs have been removed.
Write that down.
And from your distance, it was like, okay, yeah, this Carvos, Carvos, and you guys all kind of see, it's like, yeah, this person was kind of like, really kind of butchered and whatnot. So Inspector Logan is looking through and trying to figure out what's going on.
Can I see if there's any blood pulled?
Your mic kind of cut out. You asked if there was any kind of what?
Can I see if there's any blood pulled under the body or around the body?
Go ahead and give me an investigation check.
I was gonna ask the inspector to, since he's the one doing it.
Well, give me a second. I'll let you ask your question.
14.
14. All right. So you try to look about. You see a couple of little droplets, a little bit here and there, but nothing, not nearly enough for given the way the body is kind of laid out. So might be just a few drops, if that, but small drops. Pearl, what was it you were gonna ask?
I'd go up to the officer that we met before.
Okay.
Have you checked underneath to see if maybe it got moved and there's evidence that it's been moved first, like it got killed somewhere else and got put here?
Kind of.
Trying to clue him into what we figured out.
Okay. He kind of looks about, kind of adjusts the eyes. Doesn't look like it.
Just thought,
That's
how
fine.
would you have all of that here? Maybe they did it somewhere else and brought it here.
This isn't quite the motive. Most of the time they hear a scream and then they go to look, and then there's the source of the scream is the person lying on the ground.
I'll walk up and say, you said the internal organs are removed, correct?
That's what it appears. And you go ahead and go and give me an investigation check. Now that you're close enough, you can kind of look over.
Would I know if any of the specific organs were used in maybe like a ritual? Because I mean, minotaurs tend to be somewhat bloodthirsty, so I don't know if there's like a lot of rituals that they do, or maybe they harvest specific organs.
Go ahead and give me a medicine check as you look over the body.
That's a 6.
Oh, anatomy's not really a big thing. You know where the pointy end of the spear is supposed to go.
Okay, cool.
And to get the best effect. And as you kind of piece that together, it looks like the heart is missing.
Okay.
Looks like something in the gut area is missing. That's about all you can determine right now.
But I asked the officer, do you know of why they would want to take those specific organs?
He's not sure, but he starts to kind of think about, it's like, and he starts to kind of run through and trying to think about, not sure why people would, or who people would do. Yes, so saying hi, I see that. Sorry.
That's okay.
I've had the same thing happen for my son all the time.
Well, she wants to do her own vlog at some point. So.
Aww. That's cute.
This is why I'm so used to Pearl running off and just doing crazy things. I see a tabaxi person living in my house everywhere.
Hey, like I said, I have a son. I have inspiration on it. And I have a cat.
Anyways, back to the story at hand. Sorry, don't mean to keep breaking breaking the game.
So this inspector really doesn't know much at this point.
He's not sharing much.
Okay.
There's a difference. Again, you haven't really demonstrated your interest in helping with the investigation, and he is still kind of leery of the fact that you guys happen to be, lack of a better phrase, in the wrong place at the wrong time. Whenever he's coming up, so he's a little leery, but he also, again, being a public servant, he's also genuinely more concerned with the safety of the community.
Sure.
So he's focusing on that and less on you.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't quite endeared yourself to him just yet, to where he's fully kind of brainstorming or conversing and sharing a dialogue.
Now, can we sense this? Can we tell that he's, unsure of us? Because if so, can we try to
Give me an insight check, Pearl. Because yes, I just gave you a bunch of character knowledge. Now we'll see how your players react, or gave you a lot of player knowledge. Let's see how your characters react.
That's a 6.
He's focused on the body and not so much you.
I have no clue on that one.
I will do the same.
All right, you want to go ahead?
16.
All right. Kind of in line with what I was saying, he's focused on the fact that he needs to figure some information out to assess the threat and to try to figure out how to stop the murders from continuing, because this is the second victim.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys think about it, the first one was the previous night. This is the second one. So
Does he know about the coachman, or like, are they
you told
aware?
him about it. You told
Okay.
you regaled what you saw the previous night, the previous murder,
All right, cool.
what
Okay.
you saw and whatnot. This is this. You could try to tell him about what happened after he left the pub, and you guys were walking toward the inn.
Yeah.
But is this really the time to sit there and discuss it? It's
Sure.
kind of
Okay.
is the question I'm asking you.
Yeah. No, that's true. You're right.
There's all these other people around.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yep.
But I could say something else. Maybe we talk later.
Okay. He gives you a nod, and kind of stands up after examining the body, pulls out a little notepad, jots down some notes, starts to converse and get stories and statements from the other the constables that are in the area. You kind of you get the impression that he's done talking to you right now. He's focusing on this.
And I'm going to purposefully step back and out of his way to show that I agree and be helpful in that way.
Okay.
Can I take another look at the body and see if there's any type of markings or specific cuts outside of the area that was kind of opened up in the
Cuts and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Give me a investigation.
14.
All right. There are no distinguishing marks as far as anything with cuts and whatnot. The attire, as you kind of look through, the attire is definitely kind of a lower class attire, but it's also kind of provocative for compared to some of the women you've seen wandering through the market and whatever. This one's a little more provocative compared to what you've seen, but it's definitely a kind of a lower class type thing. But you don't see anything. You don't see any tattoos or birthmarks or cuts or anything outside of the one across the throat, and then what was used to kind of cut open the body and remove the organs that have been removed.
Does this woman appear to be the same, we'll say, status as the previous victim?
Yes, she's pretty close to that. She's young, probably mid-20s.
Okay.
Same like color hair or
No, this one is a brunette. The previous one was a blonde.
okay. So
It's kind of it's weird because this one's kind of an elf female, and
okay.
so it's kind of a dark-haired elf female.
Okay,
the
so it's
slender
not like a
body and
specific.
whatnot, but still,
So it's not like a specific type that's getting hunted, I guess, if you want to call it that.
no.
Okay.
The only similarities is they are both young. They're both of a particular profession.
Okay.
At best guess.
Are there any other people in the area that are dressed in similar fashion?
There's a few standing around. They've got their shawls covering them and understandably concerned,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of have some hush whispers and stuff.
I'd like to walk around over to them
Okay.
in a very non-threatening manner, and just introduce myself and ask if they knew the young woman that was slain tonight.
Yes. They. Give me a persuasion. I almost did it.
I don't have any additional advantages or cards, so it's going to be a straight roll. Let's see what we get. 22.
All right. Nice. So one of the women standing there is human. Another one is another one is another elf. This is more of a dark-skinned elf that's there. A human, and then a gnome is standing there. She's kind of trying to see but can't really see. And they're sitting there and kind of talking, and as you come up and ask your question, they look to each other, and the gnome kind of pipes up as says that she thinks that yes, is that Annie? I think that's it. And she's asking, and the other girls are kind of avoiding answering the question. So it leads you to think that the girl's name is probably Annie.
I'll ask the one that spoke up and said, when was the last time you saw her?
We had a customer a couple of hours ago, and she's probably out to find another.
Do you know this customer?
No, we don't. We don't ask those.
I'm asking because this might have been the one that harmed her. Wouldn't it be good to...
At that point, the others are kind of giving her that signal. It's like, no, we're not talking about this.
And I'll ask them before they completely shut down if they knew the other woman that was slain the previous day.
Checking. And no, they are not familiar with who it was.
I'm gonna ask him if can I walk over and again like non-threateningly, as non-threateningly as I possibly can, and walk over and say, and ask if they recognize the coachman, if they've ever seen him before, like if he's a customer maybe, or the guy that with, and describe what he looks like, and say
They're not recognized in that because as you describe it, it's like they're kind of looking. There's a lot of people with that kind of look, and as she says that, and you kind of look through the crowd, there are a few gentlemen there, constables and others, all having a very similar type of facial hair and structure. So it's really hard to tell.
Okay.
Idea. What if we found out where they worked? Maybe they work at the same place. Maybe it has to do with that. I'm saying that to my party.
Okay, so you walked over as well?
Walking over to them.
Sorry, I missed what you said.
I'm specifically trying to talk to them per se. You know, like I'm not trying to talk to the other people, but if
Cool.
And I said, what if they all worked in the same place? Maybe we should find out where they worked. Maybe that has something.
And you're asking this of your party or of?
To-
Okay, so that's a conversation amongst you guys. Okay.
And I'm saying that to have them help because people run away from me.
No. You run away from people.
That's exactly that's what it was.
From me, you ran away from me. And that dwarf didn't like me either.
Are the women still standing, kind of engaged in conversation with me, or are they kind of?
No, they're
backing away?
starting to turn and kind of walk away right about the
Alright.
time Pearl comes up. They stop for a moment to entertain Tarvos's question. The gnome kind of gives him a wink, and then they kind of move on.
I'm
I'm gonna look at. Go ahead.
I want to look around very casually to see if there's anybody other than the inspectors that are watching us speak to these women, like taking particular interest.
Give me a perception.
No, I do not see anything at all.
You are completely oblivious. What was that dice roll for posterity?
For posterity, it was a nat 1 for posterity.
Oh yeah, you're completely oblivious if anyone is watching you guys outside of the looky-loos and whatnot that would normally occur around this type of scene.
Because I'm proficient in perception, can I take a look as well?
Sure, you can kind of casually look about.
Oh, that's much better. 20. 17 plus 3.
A couple of the constables are watching you, but nobody
Okay, so-
from the crowd.
Okay.
And every so often, Inspector Logan kind of looks at you as he's talking with a couple of the others.
If I notice that they look at me, can I wave at him?
I don't know. Roll a perception and see if you notice he's looking.
Thank you. That is a 23.
Yeah, at one point, he's trying to kind of keep an eye on you as periphery. You notice it. And he just shakes his head and tries to focus on the conversation.
I want to extend some goodwill to the inspector.
Okay.
And I will offer freely that we had spoken with these other ladies and they provided the first name identification of Annie as the name of the person that was deceased.
He kind of makes a note of that and go ahead and roll an insight check.
16.
It's kind of a glimmer of recognition on the name as he looks at the face and makes a note of it and talks about how it might be Smitters is the last name.
And I'll ask him as he's thinking about that if he's been able to identify the other woman from the previous day.
Persuasion. Trying to work you guys is too endearing him.
10.
He says he hasn't been able to identify who it is yet. It's probably someone who works as a night worker. Trying to find a very polite way of saying what she does.
I'm saving all my high rolls for the next chess match, just so you know.
By all means, that's a very tricky tabaxi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta watch out. She's a chess shark.
Right. I don't know. I kind of look back to the party and And I walk back over to them and say, I let them know that the inspector provided the likely last name of Smitters for Annie, and that he didn't have an identification that he was willing to provide to us for the other woman yet. And I asked, do you guys think there's anything more for us to find here tonight?
No, I don't think so.
No, unless we can get the constable to talk to us more and get him to trust us more. I don't think there's any more information we're going to get out of him. It's unfortunate, really. But what's that?
My character doesn't know that because I got bad insight. I mean, he doesn't trust us.
He doesn't. Yes, let's go with that.
And I kind of speak to Tavares and Pearl again and say, I wonder if we should let them know what we've been able to figure out or think that we figured out regarding the manner of the cuts, how the slash of the throat was quick, and the removing of the organs obviously took time. I think that it's likely that all of this took place somewhere else and this body was dumped here.
I did mention that the dumping part to him, and I also said we needed to talk to him because we had other things. So.
Oh, okay. All right. What do you all think? Should we continue to press this more tonight?
I think we should go rest. It is late. We need our rest to be able to tomorrow.
Okay. I will mention to the inspector that we're going back to the inn, and if he would like to ask us any questions in the morning, that's where we'll be.
Okay. You guys head back into the inn. Auntie is, again, being a good hostess, is waiting for you to return because she's a little concerned to make sure you guys come back and didn't get into any trouble, as young people do. And come in, and she ushers you up to bed. You finish out your rest. The following morning, the smell of pies drifts upstairs and lures you into awakeness, along with the smells of a particular beverage that is dark and noticeable for giving you a little extra energy from a particularly roasted bean. So you come down, and there is pies and some breakfast, some bacon and whatnot, and of course a few pots of coffee. You get to enjoy your coffee or water or milk and sit, and as you're coming down, as you're sitting and enjoying your meal, there's a knock at the door. Auntie goes to open it, and there is Inspector Logan, who has come and made a call to speak.
Okay.
She ushers him in, offers him a seat, offers him something to drink. He politely declines food, but does take a coffee. You could tell he probably hasn't been to bed yet, per se.
I was gonna offer him a cup.
No. Auntie's got it covered because you guys are there. She's also had made sure you had 2 pies because she's like, you still need more meat on your bones.
They are very delicious. Thank you.
I was gonna say, good thing there was milk for me to drink, because otherwise I would have drank coffee, and I really don't know what that would have done to Pearl.
Oh God, Misty stuff.
Because all right, I got one for you.
Oh,
You
God.
were curious enough that you had your little thing of milk because she recognized you, and you wanted to take and sample this coffee. So whereas most people would put milk in their coffee, you put coffee in your milk.
Nice. I love that.
I might like that.
You kind of stir it up, and you take your first couple of sips, and it's like not really noticing any difference. So you're kind of experimenting with the right ratio of coffee and milk for a taste while this conversation goes on.
I love it. And that'll keep me occupied for a while.
So is the inspector sitting at a separate table from us?
No, he's sitting. It's a very small. It's kind of a small thing. There's really kind of a communal table that people can sit at in the kitchen because that's the way these houses are kind of designed. There isn't like this. It isn't like a tavern inn. This is a lodging house where there's a lot of these places could be like large multi-room dwellings, but as a source of income, they would rent out rooms for people to stay at. So there's a chance for a meal, or you go out into the city to try to find a meal, as opposed to going to like more like what for you, Titus, going into the village of Barovia or going into Valaki or Curse, any of those places. This is a much different for you. You kind of think it's like this is just. I haven't really thought about using my house as a hotel. Kind of a deal.
Right.
And the same thing seems a little odd, a counter to what you guys are, to what Pearl and Tarvos are kind of used to. Pearl, she's used to the big, everybody has a room, there's a big communal eating area, and then people go off to do meditations or practice their martial arts, those kinds of things. Tarvos being a soldier, you're used to people in a military type camp. They come together for like a mess hall and whatnot. So again, it's a little different, a little more intimate than what you're used to. And he's sitting there kind of waiting for this conversation to kind of progress, staring a little oddly at Pearl as she mixes coffee and milk and to try to find some optimal ratio. And he just takes his black.
Yeah.
And I'm too occupied to talk to him. I'm just doing this, man.
Yep, yeah, a little bit here. You have the milk, you pour a little bit in, stir it, taste. A little bit more, stir, taste, and
I'm not talking to him at all at this point. You guys will have to do it.
So I finish eating a piece of bacon, and I look over to the inspector and how's the investigation going?
Yeah, it's not trying to figure out what's going on. My men are stretched very thin in this region. Trying to figure out possible suspects, trying to figure out what's going on. We have a very tight window of when this to try to find this killer before we lose him again. Being as you guys have been around both victims, wanted to see what have you seen and what other insights could you offer. Again, this is kind of a hat in hand. Let's compare notes and see where this goes.
So at this point, I'm going to be completely transparent with him and tell him everything about the way that the cuts appear to be done, the fact that there was no blood suggests that the body was dropped. I'll start telling the story of when Tavros was attacked, and fill in what details I can about that, and a basic description of the coachman, and then the figure that was seen standing over the first body.
Okay, so he pulls out his notes and looks at it. And when you get into the bit about Tarvos being stabbed, Tarvos kind of unconsciously, as with any people who've suffered an injury that really kind of is recent or smarts, he's kind of goes kind of unknowing, kind of subconsciously just coming and kind of touching that spot and a little bit. The inspector takes the notes and whatnot and says, "Yes, our medical examiner looked over it and noticed that there was a couple of organs removed. There doesn't appear a lot of blood, but doesn't quite buy the body was dropped, but it is at this point, he's willing for any kind of theory to sit there and work out. And he asks you, do you have any idea who could possibly? You seem to be familiar with the way things can cut and the anatomy of things. Do you have any theories on who might be potential suspects?
That would probably be a history check or
History. Medicine check, probably.
Who's got the best medicine?
Well, the question is directed at you, Titus.
Oh, at
I
me.
was gonna say.
So it is mine.
I haven't heard. We haven't heard Tarbo's pipe up unless this is the moment he wants to pipe up.
Well, I'm too busy.
And we know Pearl is trying to concoct some new formula to make your lives miserable. I'm not gonna pull punches. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Tavros, are you going to say anything at this point? Or...
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were rolling. Yeah. I mean, I'll look at them and I'll say that I've kind of experienced a lot of battle. I have seen very disgusting and vile, bloody battles, and this is not normal. There is no blood. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And the previous time this had come up, all the murders were in a similar fashion. There's a kind of a progression of brutality, but none of the bodies have any blood left, or if they do, it's very minute amounts, not enough, and which is contradictory to the way we find them.
Yeah, and I rolled a 21 medicine check.
Okay. You pretty good idea. It's like so I'll let you kind of go with that. Your character would have some idea of different people who would be knowledgeable enough for precision cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Apothecaries, butchers, hunters.
Okay, so it could be like a variety of
Academics, wizards, sorcerers, anybody who studies and makes a habit of studying, as opposed to somebody who's experienced. This is not like a new thing. Like you think back to when you were first taught hunting, first time you field dressed deer in Barovia or bear, and how rough it was, and then eventually you got better at it. So you can recognize that this is a practice skill to do this.
It's not something that's done 3 times in 13 years.
Or it's not something that is it's not something that is a new someone who is inexperienced driving at.
Yeah.
It takes experience to know where to cut, how deep to cut, how quickly, how effective the cut would be to render the result. Because those are all the things as you're kind of milling it over and trying to work through who potential suspects would.
Yeah, so everything you just said, I'd say back to him, and it's like, I know this doesn't really help tighten up the net.
He nods. He agrees with you.
Yeah.
He agrees wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But who do you think we should look, or what do you think we should do? Carlos, what were you gonna say?
I was going to ask if there's any doctors in town that are maybe disreputable doctors, or maybe ones that are slightly underhanded, men of intelligence that are kind of to be looked out for, if that makes sense.
He makes a couple of notes. It'd be hard to tell because typically people of that knowledge are definitely not necessarily in these lower tiers of society, but there's a possibility. He'd have to take.
Okay.
But it's a it's a good theory.
Okay.
Well, the individuals that are doing this do not necessarily belong to that same part of society. They could be coming in from outside.
That's true. And going after
That's a good
someone,
point,
going after someone of upper society is a very dodgy perspective because of politics.
Right.
Sure.
So that is one of those things you don't go off on that theory without having a clearer idea.
Yeah, sure.
Otherwise, that could be very ugly very quick. Because
Yeah.
amazing, several hundred years later, we all know you go after the wrong person in high society, they have friends.
I can't remember exactly why we found that one building. Like, what was the reason? Like, how we ended up finding the one big like society building that we were. Did we see the coach go in there? Is that what it was? I forget.
No,
What was that manor? The big manor. How did we end up there? I forget.
you haven't been to a large manor yet.
We went. We didn't go in one, but we were like in front of a gate, gated off building.
No, there's some kind of gates or border type indication as entering the city, but you haven't been to a large manor or upper society dwelling. You come into the city. Most cities have some kind of indication that you've crossed into the city, and given the lands and whatnot, most of them would have some type of exterior wall in sections to kind of prevent things from wandering in. They're not 100% effective, but it's kind of a deterrent, and it's kind of one of those things like, this is the line. I know if I walk past this line, I am in the city. If I'm on the other side, I am not in the city.
Makes sense. Yeah.
We've given them all our information we do have, but I'm still. I mean, I would think after a certain point I found the right concoction, and now I'm enjoying it. Still twitching.
Give me a. What would that?
Well, it's kind of like cooking, so would that be survival? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go. No, let's go with the nature on that one.
Oh,
Go with the
nature.
nature. Go and give me a nature.
I would have rather the survival.
I'll give it to you. We're kind of running blind on this. So if you think survival's a better stat, go ahead and do
Oh,
survival.
it's way better stat, but I still don't think it's gonna help. So I'll keep the roll I got and just add this plus. Yeah, that's a 10.
Coffee's very bitter, and you at one point you put too much in, and it doesn't quite taste right. So now you're going the opposite way. You're trying to compensate by putting more milk in, and you're still working out the balance.
Yeah.
Do something that tastes good and gives and still kind of has this different texture. You're still working on it though.
But I'm still distracted then.
Very tunnel vision.
Yeah. Well,
Are
and,
there-
you guys have
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pearl.
I was just saying that you guys relayed everything okay anyway, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a kind of a round conversation. So
Mhm.
how you
Are-
choose to pay attention is up to you. Titus?
Are there different coaches, carriages that go through this town, or is there one primary business?
You're asking if there are various coaches and whatnot, and any business that kind of runs coaches back and forth, kind of like a taxi
Ooh,
service.
yeah.
Yes.
He says that there's not really an organized bit. Certain people who have most coaches are owned by particular upper society, and there are a few private individuals who take people from one part of town to another, and it's just kind of an individual by individual basis.
Okay.
Don't quite have a yellow cap in this.
Yeah.
story, but
Yeah.
I get what you. I think I get where you're going. Your mic kind of cut out, so I was trying to
Right.
into it.
Yes. Are there any particular carriages that are more frequently traveling through this lower district?
The city's pretty massive. It's like 80. It's like 8,000, 8 to 15,000 people who live in the city. So there are carriages that come in and out all the time from whatnot. So it's kind of hard to pin down a particular one.
Is there something we can do, like, to help with this investigation? Somewhere we can go to ask questions, or what questions should we ask if we help? Is there something we can do to help?
Give me a persuasion check, Pearl.
That's a 3. This is not my forte.
He's kind of hesitant about sending you anywhere to ask questions.
Makes sense.
With that,
It makes sense.
He's been watching you play with your milk and coffee for the last 10 minutes.
yes, this is,
Tavros is going to look over and go, I know that she's not to be trusted all that much, but is there anything that... Just hold on. Is there anything that we could do?
all right, I'll let you try for persuasion on that.
Come on.
Are you gonna try to assist there, Titus?
Yes, I am. And I'm a
Alright.
+4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So go ahead and roll with advantage then.
Okay. I rolled it. Okay. Well, the first one was a 19.
Nice.
Second is a 7. So
19 for the win. He sits there and he kind of nods in agreement because he's perplexed by Pearl's.
I promise she does have her uses. I swear. She's extremely useful.
He sits there and goes, perhaps, maybe you can help us. Maybe you can help us keep watch tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Help us to try and because more eyes looking about would be helpful. My men are stretched very thin and called on. There are several false alarms and distractions, and maybe some civic-minded visitors such as yourselves could. Would you be interested in doing?
If you will give us a chance, sir, I promise we will do you proud.
That means I have to sit around and do nothing. Yay!
And with that, he sits there, and you guys then spend the next hour or so talking about how you can help and what he wants. He goes through and kind of gives you an area to kind of be on patrol, and says that probably the best thing to do would be to rest up for the day, be ready for the night, and that night you try and go to your assigned area to keep watch and see what may or may not happen. Hopefully more people will help to kind of close things in and find the killer.
Okay. Do we have a name for the area, or?
He kind of lays it out to you. It's a couple of cross streets.
Okay, cool.
That goes through and gives you a good idea. Kind of. So you kind of, and after he leaves and you're kind of talking through it, Auntie kind of comes in, helps you. Kind of. Oh yes. You could, it's about 4 blocks down that way. Turn left and then another 2 blocks. It's not far.
Okay.
And so kind of gives you that so you can then kind of spend the rest of the day kind of resting and preparing for that night. Is there anything you wish to do throughout for the day? Because the rest of the day is yours to determine what it is you're going to do before going into this patrol that night.
I just want to take some time and sharpen my horns.
Okay.
However I need to. That's all.
That's fine.
Fidgeting with the coffee thing because I feel very energetic drinking it. So that sounds like a good idea for nighttime.
And let's see how your concoction works. Go ahead and give me another survival.
Yay! That's a 19.
That is nice. You have found something that is great, and you've made a mental note that it is probably 3 parts milk for every 1 part coffee, and get a good ratio to where it tastes good, and you kind of have that kind of bouncing off the walls bit. It lasts for a few hours, which you feel will be good. As you for something you'll try to partake in the next night.
Yes.
And the color consistency is kind of a muddy water.
I wonder where that one came from.
Maybe the little birdie off to my side here. So, Titus, what are you going to do to spend the day?
I am going to basically prepare my pack, get everything I need, prepare torches in case we need them, sharpen my swords, and just kind of pour over my notes to make sure that I remember all the details that we've learned throughout the day.
Okay. All right. So you take your rest, get ready. It gets to be get back up about 9 p.m. In the night. Start to prepare yourselves, ready yourselves, take in that coffee to be awake, and head out and go to do your patrol. That is where we will end it for tonight's session. Next week we'll pick up with the patrol and see what happens. We have a few minutes left, so going to take the moment to, as kind of a post session, and talk about the session a little bit. I started doing this with some things, and I'm really enjoying this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around with each of you and ask me to tell me what your favorite moment of the session was. And if there was one, what was your scariest moment of the session? And we'll kind of work with that. So Pearl, we'll start with you. What was your favorite moment of tonight's session?
It was really funny that they were trying to tie me up, that whole thing, and it was kind of the scariest thing too, because they're trying to tie me up.
That's fair. That's fair. Tarvos, what about you?
The best part tonight was the bell. Pearl and the bell. That was a lot of fun. Scariest part was probably kind of walking through the mist. It's so easy. Like that fog is thick.
Yes.
It's easy to get lost.
Yeah.
Nice thick fog at night.
That could have gone so badly.
Yeah. Titus, what about you? What was your favorite and scariest?
So my favorite part was Pearl knocking on the door. That was hilarious. And the scariest part was the same, walking through the mist and then getting lost.
Yeah.
That'll do it. So, what do you guys think of how the session went? Any thoughts, any questions?
It was great. I really had a good time.
Last.
Yeah, the investigation is crazy.
Well, and
You kind of away from your mic, Taros. I didn't quite hear you.
Sorry, I said, the investigation is fun. It's because you're trying to rack your brains. You're like, well, what do I ask?
You're still kind of low. I can't quite hear you.
It's strange. It's really weird. Can you hear me better now?
Maybe it's lost its connection or the battery's done.
That's really weird. Sure, I'm trying. Oh, about now.
It's not much better, unfortunately.
Oh, that's really weird. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Turn this down.
Is that better?
It's a little bit. I turned down some of the background music so I can hear it a little bit better.
That's really weird.
But you were saying the whole investigation was really good. How trying to rack your brain on figuring out. Oh, there you go. Now you're coming back.
Yeah. Just trying to figure out what to ask next. It's crazy. It's fun.
I know it's not been very combat heavy or whatever. This has been more the investigation, politics, and things.
We'll get there.
now too.
We'll get there.
I like that it's slightly different. That way it's not exactly the same as every other D&D game. So I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very much so.
And I really like that you were helping me with Pearl, like the whole coffee idea. I love that. I love that you were and the door idea. That was your idea. I like that you're helping Pearl be Pearl.
Well, this is collaborative storytelling. This isn't me telling a story how I want it to go. This is you guys are in this world, and I try to take cues off of the intent and the actions, and I'm trying to give you something that keeps your engagement and keeps your investment in doing this. And to be honest, it's just really kind of fun and silly to think about this. We have a tabaxi who's lived in a monastery since she was a little girl, and all of a sudden is exposed to coffee. I mean, yes, mentally I'm doing the exact same thing, Taros. I'm doing the exact same thing when it first came up. It was like, oh God, I regret bringing this up. But okay, we're gonna roll with it.
It's so fun.
It's fun. It's all a lot of fun.
What about you, Titus? What are some thoughts on how this is going?
Oh, I mean, really, it's really fun. I like the investigation side of it because it helps build the storyline, and it really goes in the sense of what it is we're doing. We're not on a combat mission. We're on a artifact finding mission, and the combat will come, I'm sure. But this is fun.
Oh yeah. Let's do this. Let's hit our milestone. Let's have you guys all come up to level 2.
Ooh.
And while we're on the session, I want you to go ahead and roll your hit die while I'm here with you. So let's start with Pearl. What is your hit die as your hit die?
That is not what I meant to publish. Where do I find what the hit die is? I actually don't know where to find that.
When you go to edit, you go to manage levels and then click on for hit points or manage hit points. It should tell you the type of die you use for your hit points.
It's a D8.
Okay, so roll a d8 for me and tell me the result.
I think I have to go back to it. And it is a 5.
All right, go ahead and add 5 hit points to your rolled number there on D&D Beyond.
Yay.
Tarvos, what is your hit dice?
1d10.
All right, go ahead and roll a d10 for me and tell me the result.
Oh God. Oh God.
What is it?
1.
All right, it's a 5. Go ahead and add 5.
Thank you.
The way I do it is you roll your hit die. If you get below half on the die, then you take half. If you get above half, you take that result.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Titus, how about you, sir? What is your hit die?
My hit die is a D10.
You D10 and you rolled a 7?
Yes.
Good to go. Go ahead and add 7 to your rolled hit points. D&D Beyond will automatically calculate your Constitution modifier addition to it, so you don't have to worry about that. We got a question that came in from Simon1960. Question, are you missing players tonight? Yes, we have 2 of our players who could not make it due to personal reasons and that real life. And as we all know, real life will always trump game time because that's the responsible thing. And we want to wish them the best and hope that they can come back to the table sooner versus later. But in the meantime, we will still charge on with our intrepid trio.
Yay.
And a comment from Ms. K. That is an amazing rule. I like it. It makes sense. I could go the way somebody else does, where when you roll your hit die, On ones, you re-roll and take the result, but sometimes things can be a little rough.
I
So
love that.
Well, also, you don't get a 2 right after that because I've had that happen. Because I have a
Yeah.
DM that does that where you re-roll the ones and I've gotten 2s right after.
Wow.
no, I also know for a fact that the world is a deadly and dangerous place. Any of you who played sessions with me know that the world is a deadly and dangerous place. So, you guys have decided to go adventuring, despite the better judgment of your peers. There's a question for you, Pearl, from Suzori the Red Sand. Do you need help leveling up?
No, actually, I'm good because it's level 2, so literally the only thing I got was AP. That's it.
I'll be right back.
Alrighty. Were you able to do your level up pretty good there, Titus?
Yes, I am working on it right now. Looking at the fighting styles.
Yeah, him and I make characters sometimes together. It's fun.
Sorry for
That's
that.
good.
Yeah.
I am now level 2.
Level
Yay,
2, you
action
have those
surge.
wonderful things.
I love action surge.
Sure, that is a nice one.
Oh, yes. I figured out where I'm gonna go with level 3. I think as well.
Oh,
See if whether or not you change your mind as the story progresses.
sure.
Well, yeah, yeah. I've been wanting to try the fighter archetype, this particular one, for a while.
There's the opportunity. So how you guys? You guys are good with the 3 hour moving into like a 3 hour format, which is a more common format.
Yeah, very much so.
Oh yeah, I like that a lot better.
Okay.
It allows for more story. You're not rushed
A
and
lot of times it was like
kind of cram everything into 2 hours. You know.
and sometimes you're like just starting to get back into the groove or whatever, and then it's like almost done. You know what I mean?
That's
So
exactly it.
I appreciate the 3 hours.
Yeah, and it's also an experience level for you guys as well. And you're doing more interactions and going off the rails in places, which
Yep.
is only off the rails if someone is hard and fast to the content they're working from. But as I've said, and you guys know me, you guys are telling the story. I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah, for sure.
I try to set up the guardrails, but every so often you still blow through them. There's not a whole lot I can do about that.
Pearl.
Help us with it. Like,
Oh, she froze on us.
Oh
the
no!
whole thing.
Oh no!
You want to try that?
And the-
She's freezing on
Oh,
us.
here.
Uh,
Action.
Oh.
Internet.
Gotta love it.
Yes, it is.
Gotta love it. But I think with that, we're going to sit here and call it a night. Thank you, everyone in the chat who hung out with us. The comments, the conversation, it was great. Thank you for all the support. Thank you to my cast for continuing to put forth some time on their Saturday evenings to hang out and play some D&D. And thank you again to Syrinscape for the soundboards and backgrounds. And hope everyone enjoys the rest of your weekend. Stay safe. Continue to stay the course. The light is coming at the end of the tunnel. I'm sure we're all aware of that. But until then, remember to talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your loved ones. This is a very stressful time still. And love each other and be safe. And see you on our next stream. So, good night, everybody.